Welcome to the Parts Party. I'm Adriana.
And I'm Ella.
And this is your invitation to hang out with us and our beautiful guests as we explore the lived experience of internal family systems. We want to share in our common humanity as humans who have multiple parts within us, so we can show you what it really is to honour this model of therapy in our own lives. This is a place for IFS nerds, therapists, enthusiasts, or just anyone who wants to get to know their parts and their self a little better.
So grab a soft drink for your little ones, a tea for your manager parts, and maybe something fancy for your firefighter parts. Because all parts are welcome.
Dr. Loranie Leas is a clinical health psychologist, psychology board approved supervisor, and certified administrator and coder for the adult attachment interview. Loranie is also an approved IFSI consultant and is currently a co-lead mentee trainer for IFSI. Loranie migrated to Australia when she was 7 years old from Cambodia after the devastating genocide that occurred there in the mid-1970s. Loranie has over 19 years of clinical practice and has enjoyed working across community mental health, corrective services, inpatient and outpatient hospital settings, and is now in private practice. Loranie is particularly passionate about the impact of early significant relationships on child development and across the lifespan. As such, her areas of special interest include complex trauma, perinatal mental health, Buddhist psychology, and loss and grief issues. Welcome to the Parts Party, Loranie.
Oh, thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Ella, for inviting me. It's such an honour to be here with you both.
I feel honoured too. Something I want to add to that bio is just that you were our level 1 co-lead trainer for our introduction to IFS. It was just such a beautiful training. So I'm so glad to have you on the podcast with us.
It was one of the lovely training because I remember it just feels like, it's still in my system, all the people that was there. And I think, Ella, you and I worked a little bit together in one of the little triads. So, yes, it feels really special to be here with you.
And we'd love for you to introduce yourself more and tell us a bit more about you professionally as well as personally, if there's anything you want listeners to know.
Yes. In terms of personally, apart from work, which I love, I also love just traveling and the house full of boys. And I even have my golden retriever who's also a little boy. So there's lots of male energy in this house. My life is like constantly on the go. There's lots of sports, lots of activities, lots of camping. I just feel like just trying to keep up with them. And I'm aging. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how I'm going to continue this? It's like they're getting more and more energetic, and I'm getting more and more kind of like, I need rest. So, yeah, but loving all the craziness that's going on with all the development. And the other thing that I love doing in terms of just, mixing with work and then pleasure is I'm getting more and more these days into Buddhist psychology and really understanding and appreciating the spiritual side of myself and the parts that are involved in that spiritual discovery.
I was curious when that came up in your bio. What is Buddhist psychology compared to Buddhist practices?
Buddhist practices, from my limited understanding and just my own direct practice of this, is there's many things and there's many schools of Buddhist practices and many schools of Buddhist psychology. And the practices, as we probably most commonly know about, is mindfulness is one of those. It comes from the Buddhist tradition. So that could be just one thing that you can practice it. When Buddhist psychology is more of the broader understanding about why is mindfulness important? Why do we do that? Why do we follow the breath? Why do we practice certain sitting positions and certain mantras? So Buddhist psychology comes with a whole bigger perspective of why we do what we do and for what reasons, for what purposes. That goes way back to like 2,600 years of understanding.
And is that something you bring into your work with clients, Loranie?
Not intentionally. If clients ask about it, if they are interested, I would offer how that can be integrated into the work. But most of the time, it's like holding that framework along with just the understanding of the Western psychology that we've been taught. Some clients are very interested, and I definitely explore that with them and how we can integrate the two.
Yeah, I love that though, that it's in the room with you because it's part of who you are, but not necessarily something you speak explicitly to.
Yes, yeah.
I'm wondering if you'd like to share a little bit more about how you came to IFS.
Well, I don't have any grand story.
Mm.
It's actually almost by accident, to be truthful. I migrated, came from Cambodia, and Cambodia is one of the countries that predominantly, again, coming back to the Buddhist teaching and spirituality and life and the philosophy. So the majority of Cambodians are Buddhists. Innately, we know growing up in a Cambodian household, we go to the temple, we do offerings, we connect to our ancestors. So that was part and parcel of growing up. I didn't think any different of that. Growing up in Australia, being educated here because of the Western education, I was pretty much a science nerd. I didn't really connect to any of that spiritual side. I was really into the stats, love the stats, love all the measurements, like I'm one of those really pure scientists. Yes, I'm one of those. I love CBT. I love, yeah, I love all those behavioral therapy that, was trained in that. And I was like, oh, yes, this really makes sense at that time. And then when you actually go out and actually do it, actually, there's a big gap here. There's something's really missing here. The more and more I practice, I came to realize that the biggest piece here is the spiritual side. It's the soulfulness of the work, intuitiveness of it. And I was in search of other therapies that can offer that and the innate healing that is within all of us. And I stumbled on it when I was practicing EMDR, and EMDR has that really deep respect for the natural innate healing that's in us. And lo and behold, EMDR is not the only modality that offers that. In discussion with a peer, she said, oh, there is this other therapy model, IFS, and that was the early days that was introduced here in Australia. And yeah, okay. I just go with my gut. I follow the link to the spiritual side of therapy. I search who's offering IFS here in Australia, and of course Simon was offering at that time was only like the second or third workshop. Did not know a thing about IFS, did not read up on it, just went into the level 1. Luckily I wasn't on a wait list, I just got in, was like the second demo client and just deep end sort of. I was completely skeptical of the whole thing because of that science. The parts of me that was very scientific. So is what's going on? Talking to yourself internally. What's happening? Just trusted. Yeah. Just listen to my intuition, and the model itself was really opened up. Really appreciate the soulfulness of this model. Yeah, fell in love with it in the sense of the connection with the self and the spirit and the interconnectedness of the model, and just continue to explore and discover.
Oh, I'm just curious, in that early demo, straight away with your skeptical parts, were you able to connect with parts and unblend enough to get a feel of it?
I was quite blended with the skeptical part of me, and that part was saying, for me, I need to see things directly. I need to experience it directly. And even though great teachers and great mentors, because I'm a student of many modalities, I think I'll be always going to be a professional student. And being a student, I need to experience it directly. In that demo, I experienced it directly. It was a profound moment of really connecting, not just thinking about it, not just describing about how you feel, but that direct connection to the parts. That's what sold me, that it was my own direct experience. It wasn't based on what other people were saying or what their experience was. It was that real relationship. My skeptical part was quite surprised. It was surprised, at the same time it was still holding a lot of questions about, why does it work? How does it work? I know it works, but I want to know the mechanism why it works. And here comes the scientist parts of me coming in. I really want to know. I want to break this down and see, why is this working in this way? And does it work in everybody in this way?
Confirming your own experience through
Yes.
testing it out a little bit. But I
Yes, yeah.
agree. It's so real when you're in it. Like, really feel that these different personalities, these different parts. It's not just a fanciful, imaginatory thing when you're having that experience.
Yeah.
Mm. I have so much appreciation for those skeptical parts that you're describing. They want the evidence, they want to understand the why. I heard it in the Buddhist psychology too. It's not just mindfulness, but why mindfulness? What is the mechanism there that makes it make sense or makes it so effective? And it's so beautiful that they can deep dive into understanding the why as well as have that experience themselves that can give them the proof.
Yeah.
Have they got the proof, do you think, Loranie? Are they like, okay, yeah, we trust it on now? Have they found out enough to feel settled?
Yeah, I would say 90% there, Ella. There are moments still that those parts come in. Those parts really just offer the opportunity to deepen, to explore. The skeptical parts is not so much about trying to dismiss or minimize the experience. It's almost like these skeptical parts are saying, this is an opportunity to deepen. What is it that we still don't know? What is it that is still need to be discovered? So there is a real thirst for curiosity that is driving the skeptics now, rather than in the early days, it was more of, yeah, right, prove it to me. That kind of like standoffish energy. Now it's more of, wow, it's working. Let's go and find out why is it working and go even further to support it. I must confess I have this fantasy, hopefully in the near future, to do some research around this and to really bring some more research into the IFS field, in particular with the adult attachment interview, using that to confirm what we know intuitively, what we see in our clients, what we know within ourselves. There's something internally changes in our attachment, in our relationship to our parts. We just need the science to prove that.
Oh, that's exciting. And such a gift as a trainer, because when you really get into internal family systems, you get very excited about it. And that energy can come through for people, I think, as a bit like over the top, like, whoa, these people are all just so obsessed or like cultish. So to have your curious parts that are really have been through that and that skepticism, but are curious about how does it work, so helpful for people so that they can see, okay, not everyone has just drunk the Kool-Aid and are all nuts about it.
Yeah, providing that grounded evidence. That I have a little part that just got really excited hearing you describe that dream, that passion I can hear in your voice about that. It would just be amazing to do that research. Yeah.
Yes, parts of me, they're planning in the background how, when, where, and in what way. So they're sending out little energetic filters out into the world to say, okay, how can we make this happen? This field really do need. We know it works, but we have to have the evidence to really say, yes, this is why it works and this is how it works.
It's what's so beautiful about this model, the fact that it is so deeply spiritual on the one hand, but also so grounded and really makes sense in terms of psychology and development on the other hand, and that they don't have to be these two mutually exclusive things on either end of the spectrum. IFS really encapsulates both and can apply to both.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that moment of discovering IFS and as coming from that skeptic, really science-based side, and then going into the deep end like you did in that first demo. You said even the skeptics going, what do you mean talking to yourself in your own head, talking to parts of yourself? What was it like starting to engage with yourself as a system of parts?
It was quite refreshing, Adriana. For me, it felt like with all the therapies I offer my clients, I have done it myself. I have been a client of that therapy. I don't offer anything if I haven't actually experienced it directly as a client. What I know with the other type of therapies that I have done, it felt a lot of it is about digging for the healing. And the premise is that if we dig, maybe we dig in the right place, we might find the answer. What I find with IFS and my experience of it is that rather than digging, it's more about letting go. It's more about being able to be with my protectors helping those protectors to relax a little bit, just to trust that you can let go a little bit and they don't have to do the job that they have been doing just even in this moment. And we're not even talking about outside of therapy, but just in the hour of therapy, even in the 5 minutes of therapy. Can they just let go a bit and then see for themselves, allow themselves to be in relationship with self? Then they can decide. Again, it's about offering that direct experience. Try it out and see. How it felt to me, it wasn't about digging or efforting. It felt like I was able to release and let go, to be in connection to whatever was there. The experience of that was completely different from what I have been doing, or what I have been trying to do for myself. Really is the constraint releasing model. So you're constraining the protector's project of protecting, the project of improvement.
Mm. And how do you experience your parts?
I experience it, I don't see my parts as much, and I experience it more of a sense of I feel the parts. I hear the parts, I hear the thoughts, I hear the beliefs. It's more of kinesthetically, I feel it, I sense it. And every now and then I may be able to see it. It's more of an energetic.
Yeah. During the level 1, Loranie, I had the absolute gift to do the demo with you as the therapist, and it was so wild and psychedelic. And obviously, I wasn't on psychedelics, but it was such a deep, amazing experience, and it was so powerful that I was curious. For listeners, it was about body image, really, and about this focus on the belly that I'd been ingrained from generations. And I thought afterwards, oh, am I going to start to love my body? Or like, what's going to happen? I was curious. And I just felt exactly like you said, the protectors just sort of chilled a bit. It wasn't such this self-improvement mission all the time around body image. I was just, I don't actually care as much anymore. Something's lifted. I really felt that constraint release.
Yeah, I remember that demo, Ella, like one of those amazing demos. It was vibrating through my system as I sat there with you. And yeah, there's no words to describe that kind of energy.
There's something so powerful as well about doing IFS with the presence of a group like that. Because even doing IFS with the presence of a therapist who is in that self energy and is just providing that is so powerful. And then having the self energy of 50 other people around you in the room, all sending love and just their presence in that moment and resonance. It's so deeply powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Adriana. And the most amazing thing is when we're meeting in person, you feel it. It's so palpable. What surprises me also when you even online, you can feel it. The computers and the Zoom doesn't actually take away that kind of energy, like the resonance. I have been sitting with this, like, why is that? Like, how is it traveling through all those wires and across lands and which really give me a sense of faith that, oh my goodness, at least this is not going to be taken over by AI anytime soon. You can't get this kind of energy from AI. It has to be that human to human connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the self energy, isn't it? That it's not actually bound by time and space, that bigger self or that wave of self. Yeah.
Mm. I'm wondering, so much of our growth as humans is often arising from moments where we're maybe challenged or triggered, and following that trailhead or tormentor, as Dick calls it in IFS. I'm wondering if there is a trailhead and tormentor from your own life, whether it's something long in the past or something that's present for you right now that you'd like to share with us.
It's a smorgasbord. I can just feel them all there. Pick me, pick me, pick me. Yeah, let me just take a moment. I recently just did another level 3 with Anne Cinco, and this level 3 was for trainers. I was a demo client of that level 3. It was the only client I was chosen. It was such a blessing to work with Anne. One of the target part, or one of the trailhead that we explored, and since that demo, it's just started to unfold, and it's giving me a lot more information about how it's connected within the system and who is in alliance, who is in polarized with it. So this trailhead is a caretaking part that overly accommodates for others, and accommodate for others in particular when parts of other people have done something or said something that has caused harm in some way. I noticed that this caretaking part, would often jump in to rationalize, to minimize, to take the pain of that impact, what the other person has done.
Mm-hmm.
And the caretaking part, in its efforts to try to do that, it also comes with a massive cost. And one of the costs is that it actually minimizes the harm that has been impacted in my system or in someone else's system. So the exile that the harm lands on doesn't get seen or heard in a way that it deserves. And what tends to happen then is that on the other side of this, the firefighter, which is the anger within me that's connected to this caretaker, would really come online and will be so enraged about the unfairness of, why are you minimizing this? Why are you taking care of this person and their parts in this way and not seeing the harm that it's causing? So this trailhead has really allowed me to really look at the cultural piece of this and the legacy piece, that this is what I have learned through my family history and also culturally as women, that we need to take care and we need to turn the other cheek. We have to take care of those around us who are hurting other people or hurting us. So it's almost this expectation. Doing this piece of work has really allowed me to slow down, take care of that caretaking part and lessen its burden around the loyalty that it feels it has to uphold. It also has really given me a bigger appreciation of, in IFS we talk about all parts are welcome. Yes, we welcome all parts of good intention. They have good intention for the person, but not necessarily good intention for other people that the person's in connection with. This trailhead has really offered me to look beyond that person in their system, but look at the wider system, how their parts, because certain parts do cause harm, even though that they have the good intention, but they do cause harm. And if those parts are not being tended to in a compassionate, direct and courageous way, those parts can really create a lot of danger. And we see that at the moment with certain leaders that has parts who feels that they can just say and do things without any ramification or any limitations. Anyone's speaking up, say this is actually not okay. The impact is so harmful, and if these parts are given certain resources and are in leadership role, my goodness, we're seeing the impact of that now. The implication of caretaking parts can really has a long-term and significant impact.
It's resonating so deeply with me, Loranie, that the courage that it takes actually to go, okay, yes, it's easier to soothe and settle to avoid conflict, but can that part be supported so that we can actually speak truth to power? I remember as a young woman, I had a terrible experience with a man, and I saw him like a year later and like gave him a hug. And then afterwards I was, why did I do that? Why didn't I just rip him a new one? But it was just so socialized just to, okay, be nice, be cool, don't cause a scene, don't create conflict.
Yeah, that's right, Ella. What are we sending? We are led by those parts, the caretaking parts, the parts that doesn't want to cause conflict. The implicit message that is giving to the other person that their parts are okay to behave in that way, and which just continue. And I do question, is that really kindness, allowing that and not speaking the truth? Is that really kindness?
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought this into this space because it resonates so strongly. I think culturally, as female gender as well. It's just something that I think we all can hold quite deeply. And as therapists as well, most of us probably have a tendency towards caretaking parts, and that can bleed out into our lives as well and how we interact in our personal relationship. And I think that distinction you said, no bad parts, it's a really important phrase and it's so true, but it can be misunderstood, or parts can run away with it and have it mean what that part feels like it needs to mean to suit its own agenda. If I need to maintain this loyalty because that's something that I learned felt safe for me for whatever reason, then I can use no bad parts to excuse another person. It can be both true that that person has no bad parts, but that doesn't excuse the impact that the person has when they act from those parts.
Yeah. Parts of me are feeling not as naive anymore. Like naive about the harm that certain parts of other people can cause. And there's more clarity around, yes, you can really appreciate the intention that is for survival, and there's good reasons why these parts are behaving in these ways. And we can really hold compassion and offer that compassion. But at the same time, also bringing the energy of the courage and the clarity, say, yes, as well, this is causing people harm in this way, and being able to be clear, consistent. You can still be in relationship with these parts, but in a way that is safe for everyone's system, not just for one person's.
You might still be working actively with this part, because you said it's been shifting how you've been noticing the dynamic within your own system. What has this part needed from you, or what shifts have you noticed inside with the parts? Because you mentioned that there was that firefighter, that angry one that would kind of then react. What's it looked like inside as you've come to this new understanding?
You know, how I said before that I don't actually see my parts, but this is the one time that I actually had an image, and I had an image of my firefighter, which is the angry one. They had a lot of angry and sense of injustice. It's like a fire, but the fire is contained in that there's a fire in me, and that fire is a warning to say, hey, the caretaking part is giving too much leniency for this particular situation. Can you check it out? And with that fire starts to warm up, and it's often in my chest, and I can see it like a campfire. And if that fire grows out and is outside of my body, then I know that I need to listen to it and be able to work within myself first to listen to unblend from that part so I can speak forward. But in the past, when that caretaker does what it does and this fire reacts, the fire doesn't just react within me, it consumes everybody around me. So it wasn't just angry, it was enraged. And that wasn't effective either. Now the fire is more a warning sign and is contained. That fire can also see, I have a really clear image of this, I can see the fire in other people. And when I see the fire in them burning out of their body, then I know that, okay, we need to address this. It's too dangerous for them to continue just to burn the whole forest and all the connections they have. To honour the fire in everyone, anger is such an enormous, valuable part of us. And to see that we all have it, we can all honour it, but it's how we honour it, how we work with it, that is so, so important.
Yeah, I needed a bit more anger when I hugged that guy, so I definitely can see how the fire is needed.
It's what lets you have boundaries, stand up for justice or injustice. Yeah, it's so important. I'm wondering, how have those two parts learned to cooperate or hear each other or work together?
They are less in conflict now, definitely. They are more checking each other out, but they don't feel so alone in that process. And because I healed what they've been protecting, it's easier for them to actually see and feel that they can actually work together, kind of like balance each other out. The caretaking doesn't have to be so over the top in their excuse making and allowing and accommodating. and the fire isn't so over the top as well in terms of burning everything in its path. They're a lot more collaborative now.
I'm guessing your Buddhist practices and psychology come into it. How do you experience self?
I'll give you an example actually, just to highlight. When I feel a sense of disagreement or I'm in a conflict with someone, whether it be my son, whether it be my husband, anyone, I know when I'm in self, when I can just say, I wonder what it's like for them to be with me in this moment. Not just holding my own perspective of how I see things, but being able to really include wanting to see it from their perspective.
Mm.
So self energy for me is the perspective of the other, also the time perspective. What just happened, what was the past, what is the present, and what, if we continue this, what will happen in the future. So the time, space, and the bigger perspective really is one of my key markers for my own self-energy. In relation to that perspective, it's also that sense of interconnection. And this is again coming back to the Buddhist psychology. In the Dharma teaching, we don't exist by ourselves. We exist in systems and the interconnectedness of all things. We're not above anyone, we're not below anyone, but we are with everything and everyone. What we say and do here in this corner of the world will somehow have an impact on the other corner of the world, even though we may feel as if time or even distance buffer us. In actual fact, it will come around one way or the another.
It's so practical too to have those question check-ins to be able to take that perspective, and it links back to that interconnection because you're orienting yourself back to thinking in that interconnected perspective, that relational perspective. Such a beautiful way to think of self.
And it really helps as well, Adriana, like in times when I'm blended with a part, with a protector, or even with an exile, when I'm blended, I know I'm blended when I feel that sense of being alone. When there's that, when I check in and say, oh, I'm so alone, I'm the only one, why me? That kind of like narrative, those beliefs, then I know, okay, this is parts energy when we have such a narrow perspective on who we are, who we think we are, who we think the other person is, and why they're doing this to us. That sense of aloneness and knowing that, and if I can remember to help my parts to remember that, hey, we are not alone here, we are actually connected. Can we just take a moment to see how we are connected, how we can be connected if we feel that we are not connected? Just that reminder really just gives an opportunity to connect to more self-energy.
Yeah, that's so great. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about how it's both internal and external connection is what I'm hearing. It's both what you were describing of that interconnectedness with everything. We live in a relational system. We live on this ecosystem. And internally, we have that too. You said before the angry part, the caretaking part, when they were so deep in their roles, they felt alone in that. And once you were able to facilitate this connection with them, they didn't have to go as extreme in that role because they didn't feel as alone. There's this internal cohesion, this connection inside, and that's also, you can ground that outside as well.
Yeah, thank you. Loranie, do you want to finish by sharing a quote with our listeners or a little poem or anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I love when you send it through. It's such a beautiful invitation. One of the things that came to mind, have you guys seen the movie or read the book Life of Pi by Jan Martel?
Yeah.
One of the lines from that book really touches me, and it's something about to choose doubt as a philosophy of life is akin to choosing immobility as a means of transportation. Yeah. Why that's really touching for me, because I have parts that have held lots of doubts throughout my life, doubts about, who I am, where am I good enough, can I do this? And so doubt, the energy, and these parts really do block. It blocks me in going for things. that feels is the right thing, but because of these doubts, it stops me from trying. And what I'm learning now is that if I can allow myself to just really, when I'm stuck in having to make a major decisions about something, if I can really remind these parts that we can stand here forever and die here in this spot. What are we going to be achieving? And again, coming back to this perspective taking, when these doubts comes up, and this line really helps me, is I offer my parts, the parts that carries the doubt, that, okay, who has contributed to you being here in this moment? Having what you have, with the blessing, with the gifts that you have right here. Is it the ancestors that sacrificed everything to allow you to be here? Is it your teachers? Is it your mentors, your friends and family? Who contributed to you being here? So that's a perspective of the past, of who helped you to get here. And how do you want to make use of these blessings that you have right now? And what do you want to offer? That somehow helps mobilize me to, I can choose a different transportation, and these parts can change and choose something else. I don't have to be plagued by the doubts. Doubts can really be immobilizing. And if we don't test it out, life is uncertain. There's no guarantees, but we have to directly experience it to see for ourselves.
And anchoring to that perspective of that future focus. Well, how can I make use of what I have despite the doubts, with the doubts? Yeah. Lovely. Well, what an absolute gift, Loranie. Thank you so much for being here with us on the Parts Party.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. Yes, it's been such a pleasure as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the Parts Party with Adriana and Ella. We hope you enjoyed being with us, and we wish you many moments of self-leadership. We'd love your support by liking, subscribing, sharing this podcast, and we hope to see you next time.